Alright, shawties, welcome to part 2 of the biggest NFL storylines entering the 2024 season. I made a part 1, which is the NFC edition, so if y'all have not watched that, y'all can watch that, or you can watch this one first. It really doesn't matter, I'm just giving y'all the AFC edition this time. Let's get to it. We're about to start the season, and I still don't know who Josh Allen is throwing to. Hold up, let me look him up. And never mind, it's funny not knowing. They traded their number 1 receiver, Stephon Diggs, away, so now Josh Allen's gonna have to find a way to carry this offense to relevancy. Not all of them are 10-day contract players though. Dalton Kincaid will surely be a reliable weapon, as well as James Cook if he could actually hold on to the ball for once. Bills did draft wide receiver Keon Coleman, so it will be interesting to see how he fits into the scheme. A lot of questions on defense, as some players such as Matt Milano are making their way back from injury, or Micah Hyde debating retirement. Overall, this team's gonna look very different from previous years. The floor and ceiling are at opposite poles at this point. The Bills situation on offense is basically the Dolphins situation on defense. They had to do away with a lot of pieces such as Christian Wilkins, Jerome Baker, Raekwon Davis, Andrew Van Ginkel, not to mention Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips are recovering from injury as well, so you have yourself a completely different defense essentially. On the flip side, they signed Odell Beckham Jr. and pairing him up with Waddle and Tyreek Hill will no doubt prove to be a threat. I also want to see how Tua handles this year, as last year he was good, but I don't know, there's just something he's missing that I can't put my finger on. Perhaps this is inconsistency, but we'll see how the season plays out. Patriots are entering a rebuild for the first time in God knows how long. Drake May was the QB they drafted, but it's looking clear that Jacoby Brissett is looking to be the starter as he has returned to New England. I still won't forget 27-0 Jacoby. Anyway, it's clear that New England is rebuilding, and to captain this new era is none other than Gerard Mayo, a young and spry mind who is definitely a breath of fresh air for the squad. Good luck with the rebuild, New England. About time, man. Damn. 94 seconds was how long Aaron Rodgers' first year with the Jets lasted. How this guy cracked the top 100 list beats me, but all eyes are on him to see if he can revive this franchise, because the hype for this Jets squad is on its last legs. Time and time again of having an elite squad with only the quarterback being the missing piece. It's really up to Rodgers, because if this experiment fails, there's going to be some bad times ahead for New York. Baltimore was this close to the promised land last year, only for the Swifties to rain on the parade of Lamar Jackson. Despite going further than they have in years, I'm pretty sure Lamar is still very pissed off on how that year ended, because they really should have made it to the Super Bowl, for being honest. Anyway, Baltimore has a new defensive coordinator in Zach Orr, as Mike McDonald is now coach of the Seahawks. It will be interesting to see how Baltimore's defense operates under the new system. Lamar Jackson needed a little help last time, so what did Baltimore do? Give him the king himself and Derrick Henry. Yeah, Baltimore has become even more unstoppable. Lamar Jackson for sure needs a Super Bowl now in order to beat the fraud allegations, but I'm sure he knows that already. I have faith in you, Lamar. Prove your haters wrong, please. Joe Burrow injured his wrist last year, so Bengals were more or less meandering the rest of the way through. Come to think of it, I don't think Burrow has been fully healthy to start a season in a hot minute. Even last year, he had that calf injury that he was dealing with to start the season, which caused him to play like hot doo-doo. Other than that, they have a new offensive coordinator in Dan Pitcher, along with the running back Zach Moss to replace Joe Mixon. On the defensive side, Von Bell has been signed, in which his veteran presence will no doubt have an impact on the lackluster secondary last season. Either way, Cincinnati is still a team to be taken seriously. Look, it's the team that traded for Deshaun Watson. Everybody point and laugh. Anyway, injuries plagued Cleveland last year, and they're in a weird spot because I can't imagine my team getting carried to the playoffs by Joe Flacco of all quarterbacks. Either way, this team is still elite, at least in the defensive sense, don't get it twisted, but Deshaun Watson needs to stay healthy and justify this trade. Thank you, Cleveland, for your services, but you shawties are in some big trouble if Deshaun can't perform. There's hope with the new offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey and new signing of Jerry Jeudy, but we'll see how this benefits Watson. They're gonna need it with Chubb still rehabbing from last season. In short, if Watson is cooked, then this entire team's cooked. They ain't winning the Super Bowl without good quarterback play. What? The Steelers actually made some offseason moves? This team might finally be entertaining to watch for once. Now that Kenny Pickett is gone, the quarterback spot is now between Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. Oh, and Kyle Allen too, who is also somehow better than Pickett. It'll be an interesting competition for sure. All this QB talk is distracting from the real best signing they had in Patrick Queen. Big defensive piece here. Now let's hope the offense can, actually help them out this time. Okay, let me chill. Texans are coming off an insane season last year. After we started 0-2, I seriously thought it was going to be a rough season. People saying that CJ Stroud didn't want to be there, he was crying because he got picked by the Texans, yap, until little by little all the pieces started to fall into place. CJ Pookie started popping off, and we started becoming relevant again. D'Amico Ryans put life into the Texans sideline. That feeling when your team is finally good again cannot be matched. And when I see people online, when I see these people say that the Texans are overrated or we're being glazed, I laugh my ass off. They don't know how it was like. They'll never know how it was like. Anyways, if I thought the Texans won the offseason last year, they for sure had a good offseason this year. Signing Joe Mixon, Stephon Diggs, and Danielle Hunter, oh man, I gotta change my pants. But yeah, Nick Caserio is firing on all cylinders. Now the question is if the Texans can really live up to the hype or not. We'll see how it goes. All I can say is that it's good to be back, shawties. It's good to be back. Colts were a drop pass away from possibly going to the playoffs, so let's not sleep on them now. Despite Anthony Richardson's injury last season, the Colts came very close. Now that AR is healthy, I'm curious to see how this team will perform. They really didn't make any significant roster changes, so it comes down to their faith in AR. Hope he can stay healthy because I need to see a real Anthony Richardson versus CJ Stroud matchup. The Jaguars looked really scary at one point last season, only for them to completely nosedive at the tail end of last year. From the number 1 seed to completely missing the playoffs is insane work, but that's on Jacksonville for completely mismanaging the Trevor Lawrence injuries. Bro did not look like himself, but I have faith he'll make a comeback now that he's 100%. To help him out, Jaguars got Gabe Davis and rookie Brian Thomas Jr. The defense also took a nosedive last year, so they brought in Ryan Nielsen to captain the defense. This, along with the signing of Eric Armstead, and you got yourself a defense that can also make a comeback. We'll see how Jacksonville rebounds from last year. Congratulations, tight ends, now it's time for you guys to rebuild. Well, let's not speak too early now because this team had a pretty decent offseason. They lost Derrick Henry, but Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears are no scrubs. I don't even know who would start. The competition is going to be something special, that's for sure. Add on the signing of Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd, and already this team's miles better than last year. It falls into the hands of Mayo Man himself, Will Levis, to prove that he's a franchise QB material. They drafted JC Latham to boost the offensive line, so he'll be in pretty decent hands here. The defense, though, will be something to keep an eye on, as new defensive coordinator Dennard Wilson is taking the helm now. L'Jarius Sneed is a good addition, though, so we shall see how the Titans operate as a unit. I'm telling you, the AFC South is in a period of youth now. Broncos country, riding to yet another rebuild, and to top it off, they have the AI generated ass uniforms to usher in the new era. Broncos drafted Bo Nix in the first round this year, and he has a high chance of being the full-time starter. I mean, who else do they have? Jarrett Stidham? Zach Wilson? Oh my, this team's cooked. Pray for your nearest Denver Broncos fan. The Chiefs have quickly become the most unlikable team in the NFL, yes, even more than the Cowboys. Does the NFL glaze the Chiefs a lot? Yes. Do people now pull their pants down and whip it out for the Chiefs? Absolutely. But you can't deny that they have every right to flex because they've done some incredible things with this organization, especially Patrick Mahomes. Kansas City is going to try to pull out the first three-peat in NFL history, and to help, they re-signed a lot of key contributors along with getting Marquise Brown and Xavier Worthy in the draft. Last year, despite Kadarius Toney's best efforts and the receiving corps being relatively mediocre, somehow, someway, Mahomes made it work. I can already see it. Kadarius Toney catches the game-winning TD to win the Super Bowl. The Swifties storm the field. Travis Kelce proposes to Taylor Swift. This calls for a song Mahomes shouts, and the Chiefs ended off with a dance boogie party. The Raiders are another team that have been the epitome of mid these past seasons. Defensively, this team is a menace. Max Crosby, Malcolm Kuntz, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Tyree Wilson, and newly signed Christian Wilkins is going to be scary. However, you look at the offense and then you're like, Now let's not sleep on Gardner Minshew now. He carried the Colts, but I mean, come on now. Not to mention, Josh Jacobs is gone, so now the offensive load on Adams' shoulders has just gotten heavier. We'll see how they operate, but with Coach Antonio Pierce, there's definitely newfound energy that this team has not seen in a hot minute. At least y'all got that now, you know? The verb chargering is an actual term in the Urban Dictionary used to describe underperforming or screwing up an easy win at a comical level. Ever since this team moved to Los Angeles, I kid you not, this team has never been the same. You can't make this up. Years wasted by underperforming, bad coaching, and chokes. Poor Justin Herbert, man, a top tier QB haunted by horrible management. Who in Los Angeles even roots for this team, man? Someone in the comments let me know. Like, let me know y'all exist, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, Chargers had enough of horsing around, so they went ahead and got coach Jim Harbaugh, an incredible upgrade over the joke that was Brandon Staley. Will this coaching be enough though? They lost Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Gerald Everett, and if they won only 5 games last season, my goodness, pray for this team. But coaching plays a key role here because people, Brandon Staley was awful. May I remind you that this team got 63 points put on by the mid-ass Raiders. I'm still shocked he wasn't fired on the spot. Alright, but there's at least hope now, I guess, right? They got Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins as running backs. Quentin Johnson better step up before he starts getting into the bus conversations. And they drafted Joe Alt for added protection. Overall, don't let this team losses fool you. With Harbaugh as coach, he will for sure make the most out of what he has.